Hi, this is a continuation of our little book reports. This time we're talking about predictability irrational. And this was introduced to me by Tristan Ahumada. He is he does lab coat agents, and you guys, if you haven't seen his webinars, I think a lot of you know about him, but they have amazing guests and information on there. And Tristan, I'd love to be on the show too. But this is interesting. Here's an example, just to set the stage, and this is what Tristan read on the webinar that I saw. It's on page 8, right in the beginning. So they're giving an example that, okay, so your real estate agent guides you to see 3 houses, all of which interest you. One of them is a contemporary and 2 of the others are colonial. All the 3 cost about the same. They're all equally desirable. The only difference is the one colonial needs a new roof and the owners knocked off $1,000. So which one do you think most people would take? I would take the modern one. However, most people would take the colonial that's kind of all ready to go. And he calls that the decoy. He gave a couple of really neat other examples. One was selling TVs. There was a TV shop that wanted to move a certain brand. So they had 3 that they offered: a 36-inch Panasonic for $690, a 42-inch Toshiba for $850, and a 50-inch Philips one for $1,480. So guess what one people chose? It was the middle one. It was all kind of based on value. You know, they wouldn't take the higher one. They didn't want the lower one because they didn't perceive that as value. So that middle one. So it's interesting thinking about maybe if you're showing houses, you can do the same, you know, strategically showing which house that you know is going to suit them best and that they would feel comfortable doing. It's maybe a little manipulative. You know, we heard about, you know, there was that old phrase about Madison Avenue, how they manipulate us with advertising. Oh gosh, there's that one phrase I can't think of right now. But, you know, that is a way to evaluate different things. Another one was, let's see, there's another story he told about meeting somebody in Paris where he didn't speak the same language. He met someone that they had a great afternoon chatting and all this. And then when they got back to the States, they were travelers. And so they met up again. And it was kind of interesting how it didn't quite click the same. It was all somewhat situational. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Oh, and then he talked about Starbucks. You know, we're all now used to paying $5 for a cup of coffee. But what, 15, 20 years ago, before Starbucks, or when Starbucks started, that was outrageous, right? But they set up a perception and value that their fancy names and their fancy combinations of coffees had that perceived value, that it was so worth that cost. So that's what we should keep in mind when we're marketing and advertising our skills or our products, is to have interesting names and messaging that gives that perception of high quality, and it's so worth it because we know we are, right? I'm Emma Auriemma-McKay, architect and interior designer. And hey, you know, check out my Facebook groups, realtors, real estate agents, no, real estate professionals, and also stress-free remodeling. So join me there. I'll look for you then.